up. On the bar, see a wire, don't touch it.
I learned the hard way.
It's like a gun, okay? Just pretend every gun, you always pretend that it's what?
Loaded.
Loaded. Alright guys, today is going to be an off the farm tour. We are going to Meyer Farm in Vail, North Carolina. We're going to go help him do some chores. He's a real good friend. Both families just enjoy each other, man, a lot. We both have encouraged each other through social media now that we live farther apart. We used to live very close to one another down in the city of Hickory. Now he lives in Vail, we live in Conover, and we're going to go ahead and go help out, do some chores, and then do a little bit of Q&A. But yep, here we go. The Meyer Farm. We're here. All right, guys, we're here to work. All right, let's do this.
Welcome to Meyer Farm. There he is. What's happening, Dan?
Not much.
Hey, come on in, man. We'll come on in for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Caitlin, how you doing?
What's up, Josh? I seen you. Lydia, how you doing?
Come on in, man. Come on in.
All right, so 319 Farms and Outdoors meets the Meyer Farm.
Welcome to Meyer Farm.
We got Lydia, Josh, Judah, Stephanie.
Hi.
Hey, Stephanie. No filming. And Josiah's upstairs. You know, we just started some chores. We're just going to follow them and see what their day looks like.
Hey, sounds great.
Let's go.
You see things every day?
Can I take out my shoes, Daddy?
Yeah, we got about.
All right, listen, we're just good on the barn, okay? Because he said, let's say,
A couple things that we're missing on our farm is a shoe rack like that and a barn.
Watch out for the dog.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember this. He built it himself. Yeah, say.
you built this, man, this is so, it's so practical. You know, I mean, there's a tool shed on the upper part. I call this a workshop. And,
Josiah.
so obviously put a couple freezers in here, but this is where I do work on the beehives. Cut wood down here, store grain in here. So this is our brooder. So when we're doing our meat birds, we bring them in here. This is what I built a few years back, 4 by 8 feet. So you can put about 100, you can put 100 birds in here and really keep them in there until 2.5 to 3 weeks. And so really, when you're talking about raising meat birds, you want to get them on pasture no later than 3 weeks. And they can withstand 32 degrees. They can withstand freezing temperatures at 32. I've seen some people, they'll put a heat lamp on them, you know, move them around the pasture. It's unnecessary. You just don't need that. I've actually put them on pasture as early as 2.5 weeks. The longer you leave them in a brooder, the more weight you're going to lose, the longer you're going to have to feed them out. So you want to get them on pasture as soon as possible.
So this is what we are so desperately need, a barn. We don't have this, and it's just, or even just a overhang, like a wraparound porch, just to know that you can come in. That's like your mud room. You know, we don't have that, so we use the laundry room, and just, we have a freezer in there. It's just, you know, oversight on my part. I didn't really think about that. You know, so, no, you live and you learn. Now we're trying to get a barn in there. So hopefully it happens in the next year or so.
All right. Well, we're going to go walk through the sheep.
Look at these cow bones we get with all on Sundays.
Freezer full of meat.
Hey, whoever's last, just pull that shut behind me. Yes, he's friendly. He's not getting a little excited. So what I did is one of the first things I did in,
See, this is
I
the
decided to put this in additionally for raising chickens. And so for me, I'm not going to bring animals on the farm that aren't going to be productive. And so if animals don't do something for us, they go. He's even this dog. He's a Great Pyrenees, and he's a livestock guardian dog. And so his whole job is to protect this area. And so with the sheep, we hear coyotes back there. I don't have to worry about coyotes. He takes care of them. We have no coyotes come on this property. In fact, I rarely hear them anymore, even though they might be way back there. So I want a dog to do well with kids. I want a dog that was going to protect the farm. And so he gets fed because he brings a service to the farm. If he didn't, he'd be gone. To be quite honest with you, that's just kind of harsh, but I'm not going to waste money on something that's not going to contribute to the farm. So what I want to do is even chickens, for example. You guys have lots of chickens. So chickens lay really well up to 2 to 2.5 years at best, and they really start falling off. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to replace chickens every year. So about every year, I'm probably going to, my goal right now is to have 40 to 50 laying chickens. And I'm going to bring about 25 to 30 new chickens on every spring. And then in the fall, I'm going to take those chickens that are 2 to 2.5 years old. We're going to process them out. For stew, maybe selling if people want them. You know, that's definitely a slow cook type chicken over a bird. And so these chicks in here, we got them, I don't know, 2 months ago or so. I'm going to move them outside in the next month. And they will be the next generation of layers. And then we'll do the same thing next spring. I don't have many. I'll process about 5 or 6 out that are over here this fall.
That's exactly what we're doing.
So the sheep right here, these are a combination of, there's something called a wool sheep, which you often think about with wool, you know, that comes from that. These are called hair sheep because these don't have wool. And so the sheep are really, they do 2 things for us. Number one, they allow us to see mammals being born here on the farm. And so I want us as a family to be able to see the beginning of life and the end of life with some different animals. You know, if you bring chickens in as chicks, you don't get to see the birth process. If you bring cows in as calves and you get rid of them, you don't get to see any of that. These are fairly low maintenance animals, but not 1,000-pound animals that can run you over. And so you're able to have them have babies, take care of the babies, see the whole process. Bought 3 last year. They're all ewes, meaning they're all girls. This one's a year old, this one's a year old, this one's a year old. We had a ram last year, all 3 got pregnant, all 3 gave birth. This one right here is her baby. She was born in late February, so she's about 2.5 months old. You see how large they get really quickly. We had a ram, we sold the ram though in the middle of the winter because he was getting kind of aggressive. And I just wanted everybody to come outside and kind of enjoy things without having to worry about getting run over by a ram. But we'll put a new ram in the next month. And then he's going to hopefully get all these girls pregnant. They'll give birth next spring, and then we'll get rid of him.
Including these?
Yep. They can get pregnant at between 5 and 6 months old.
Wow.
And so they don't like being outside when it rains. Right?
How's the meat on these guys?
So that's another thing. So my deal is, what I want to do is, right now, just based on my pasture, I like to have 5 to 8 ewes. We haven't had any lamb yet. But we'll start next year. I want to process 1 or 2 out, and maybe even begin sales. So the lamb will be 6 to 12 months old when we process it. All right, y'all ready?
Ready.
We'll take a look now at our laying operation. Here's a heads up. On the farm, you see a wire? Don't touch it.
I learned the hard way.
It's like a gun, okay? Just pretend every gun, you always pretend that it's what?
Loaded.
Loaded.
Oh, there's one that got out, Dad.
Oh, you got a pretty big run.
So here's what I want to do. We're only getting about a dozen eggs a day, 16 or 17 at most. We keep 1 rooster, just in case we wanted to hatch some out. Like I said, I'd like 40 to 50 layers in here, primarily because that only allows me to do 40 to 45 layers. That's all that'll accommodate. This is mobile. This is thanks to Justin Rhodes. It's the chickshaw. All I will do, if I can go inside or outside, pick it up, right? Go backwards. It's pretty tough to go forward, uphill, or go forward, right? And so what it allows me to do is I want to have a mobile farm. And so I want things, this is all, y'all have this as well. This is Premier Mobile Netting. It is a total of, 164 feet times 2 is 328 feet total around the perimeter. And so we can pull it down. My wife and I come out here, we move it twice a week. And so what we want to do is we follow the cows. And the cows work around the pasture. Chickens come behind them. They scrape up the manure, they kick it around. If there's any worms in there, they eat it. Then they drop their poop on the pasture, and we're just building soil. Building soil, building soil. And so what I'll do is next time we move, I'll probably move over and see, notice where I've actually bush hogged this. So I'll move over to that side up there up top, and they'll come this way, and I'm going to work into the upper pasture.
So how do you move them? Okay, yeah, so you put them in there. I was going to say, okay,
So-
instead of hurting them.
So what we have to do is, I'll just go out at night when they're in there, I'll close it, only the night before we're going to move them. We'll come out the next morning, they're locked up, move the fence, roll it up there.
So you move the fence the night of or the morning of?
We'll move the fence the morning we move. But yeah, we come out 6 o'clock, move them, something like that.
Let's say that. 5 o'clock, you mean? We get up at 5.
3:30.
3:30.
Hey, I'll tell you what, it's one thing with school that allowed me to do it later than I would. I'd be doing it around 4 if it wasn't for school not being in.
So I like this Premier. We went with a different type because I just didn't know what worked and what didn't.
Yeah.
To be quite honest with you, but I really like this. I see why now.
This is the best stuff. This is the best stuff. Now, I'd recommend this though, if you're going to get it. This is the 48-inch, I believe. You also notice this right here. You got a double spike,
Yeah.
right? And so, you just pop in right there. But the one that connects at this corner and this corner is an older fence. It's still a Premier, but it's only 44 inches. It's only a single spike. So if you do it, go get all out. Get this. This right here, obviously, y'all know this. It can be hot. For me though, just because of the dog, I'm not real concerned about stuff getting in. And so the other thing is that when you have grass, when you have this right here, the black is not hot, but this first horizontal wire is hot. There's no way for me not to keep that grass from zapping out my power. And so I found like this fence, the outer fence, is run on electricity. It's called it's a pulsating system. A lot of people think that electric wire is just like a constant feed, but it pulsates about every second or so. And so it runs it. I try to keep it around between 5,500 and 6,000 kilovolts. If this thing's hooked up to it, I'll lose 1,500 kilovolts, just like that. Just because that much grass, just that much, pulling that much out of it. Anyway, I've just found that, and so the big thing is I primarily have the fence up to keep them in. I'll still have a few get out every now and then, but if they can get out, they get back in.
Yeah, so talk about building soil. We are building soil because we don't have anything.
How often are you moving?
Every day.
Every day.
Every day we move them, every day. Well, they do. Every piece of animal, like, it's their business. Like, they run it. Because see, mom and dad, we're fine. They're the ones broke. We're trying to just build some kind of work ethic, ownership, vested interest in something. Here it is. Here's your little reward. So I'm teaching them about marketing and stuff like that. That's the stuff that I know.
That's right.
How do you come up with prices? Well, let's go to Health. We went all the way to Morgantown. Food maps. So I start seeing all their farms and their prices. And then how do you market? And I teach them that part. So, she's all into the meat birds. She wants the money from the meat birds. So she's out there.
You, huh?
Not every day, but she's out there. And this is the girl who doesn't even like to get wet. She's out here right now, Yeah, so, she's come a long way. So I'm just hoping that they all take some kind of ownership, And if they never work, they'll never be afraid of work.
That's right.
That's right. Right, Judah?
Yes, sir, that's right. So as y'all know, this is a very different variety of chicken, right? This meat bird has been engineered within the factory. This is in the factory. In 48 days, you get a 5-pound carcass out of this thing. So this is a pure copy of Joel Salatin. He's the guy who made all this famous. And so his whole focus was also, you want to move birds around the pasture. So a couple things happen. You keep them on fresh grass daily. They're eating the bugs. They're getting the grass. The grass creates chlorophyll, which is a natural cleanser to the body. And they're leaving the poop behind. And so what's happening is they're dropping that poop. Chicken poop is really high in nitrogen.
Correct.
And so that feeds your pasture, it builds your pasture. I ran chickens last year across this kind of paddock on the other side of that fence, and we pretty much covered that entire thing. And that grass was super, super thick this year. We saw even the benefits even a year later from that. So last year I was just dragging this thing. It's pretty heavy, and it was a backbreaker. It really was.
It's a backbreaker for us.
And so I talked to a guy, and again, this has come straight off Joel Salatin's farm, because I noticed that he had almost like a little dolly he used to kind of kick the thing back, and I'll let y'all try it in a minute. And so you put the dolly up underneath. I had a guy make it for me. It was actually Fox's Welding up in the Bethlehem area.
We know exactly where it's at.
Yep. And so and I took him the plans. I showed him about a 4-minute long video. I just said, "Can you build this?" And he said, "I'll give it a shot." And it has worked perfectly. It's made my life much, much easier. It's definitely through this. The kids could not yet. The smaller ones could. Josiah could probably do it. But,
Maybe if you get on his shoulders, Doc.
that's right. You can do it.
That's two.
One of the challenges I run into, particularly the more space you get, is infrastructure. Right? Y'all know that. Fencing. Right? Fencing is the first big piece here. Water. I found the biggest thing is water, right? So you've got to figure out how to get water to your stuff, whatever it is. And so we've got a number of access points. Like, I've had the pipe bust in the barn. I've been working on that for a month now. I can't quite figure it out. I think I finally have a solution to it. But it just means that I've got to bring it from a distant source. So right now, the water I'm running up to this pasture and that pasture there is all coming from a faucet I've got up in the front yard. And so they have two faucets. But I mean, I've got to run at times 100 yards or more of hose to get it there to there. Now, if you weren't trying to move stuff around, it wouldn't be a big deal, right? I mean, you could have one livestock tank sitting there, you fill it up, they come drink out of it. But I'm going to show you up here in a minute when we get to the cattle, the water tank. And I mean, it's 100 gallons, I'm moving every single day.
You move it when it's empty.
I'm moving every single day. So I flip it, everything's left,
Okay.
and I drag it along. So yeah, I'll tell you what, that thing is hard to move.
See, us Incas, we just pick it up with 100 gallons in there. You know?
All right, so here's what we do. We've actually got a little bit left from this morning. This is it, man. Hey, you got to do the chores. Yeah, you do the chores whether it's rain or shine, right?
Hey, this is farm life, baby.
Living the dream, baby. Living the dream.
Here's the dream.
This is all we do. Pick this up. Who wants to try to drag this?
Come on, Kenny.
Try? Come on, this in.
Oh, okay.
So here we go. Now you have to pick it up slightly and you drag it back. Pick it up slightly. You got to pick it up a little bit.
I give up.
Do we move?
I'm gonna move.
A little bit further. There you go. Perfect.
And what's left behind? Look at that.
It looks like the grass is never going to grow back, particularly rain like this. It's been a couple weeks. They come right through it.
Come on, Shira. Let's see. Are you a real pioneer? So how many do you have in each one of these?
This is a 8x10. No, that's wrong. This is a 10x12. And Joel Salden says you can go as high as 75. I'm more inclined to top it off around 60. I've got like 43 right now in each one. But if you can give them 2 square feet per bird. Really, I'm filling this up twice a day. And so what they're doing right now is I'm going through 40 pounds of food in a day right now.
On 86.
On 86 birds.
86 birds. Oh, wow. So we got to start feeding ours more. We're going through like maybe 30 pounds.
Really?
And we have 68.
Well, you're not far off though. Are they about this size?
Some. One, there's 2 or 3 that are just super tiny. I think I have pygmy cross.
I got a few in there like that.
I mean, they're just way too small. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I'm just assuming based when I look at one like that and then the other one's like this big, I don't know.
Like I said, man, these are really behind. I mean, they should have been probably averaging 1.5 pounds bigger than that right now.
And that was through.
This is through well packaged.
Yeah, I went with Valley.
Water here. You got Valley, you said?
Valley Farms. I want to say. I gotta look at the receipts because we ordered from 2 different places. I just kept looking around. Who hasn't had the best experience with?
I'm hesitant to say this on camera, but I will. It is what it is. 2 years ago, we were still living in Hickory, and I used Meyer hatchery.
Yep, there you go.
And Moyer hatchery. And those chickens performed exactly the way they were supposed to. All right, so just in case you're kind of wondering, so what happens is, let's talk about. You got to go up here and talk about grass for a minute. Let's talk about grass. Grass is important.
I mean, we're turning this. What they say is you turn this into protein.
We're talking about solar panels capturing the sun, energy are God's perfect solar panels right here. God's created this perfectly. If we eat this thing, no nutritional value. A cow can eat it, butcher it 1,000 pounds, and now you got nutritional value for a human. It's an amazing, amazing process that God has designed. Let's talk about grass, guys. So a week ago, all this up here was looking like this, and the wind would blow, and it looks beautiful. And so a lot of people like to look at the grass on a farm or field, and they go, okay, so this is what you want the grass to look like. Not exactly. So here's what happens. This grass has formed a seed head, which what that really means is this stem is very, very fibrous, and so it takes longer for the cow to digest. And so what the cow wants this, right? Or any ruminant, right? Even talking about a sheep, anything that's going to eat it, bring it down to their stomach, going to bring it back up. A ruminant, it's going to take a while to chew on. So here's what happens. Grass grows in an S shape. Okay, I mean an S shape, meaning it starts off slowly, and then it begins to pick up. As that S comes up, it begins to pick up. It grows much more quickly, and then it hits the latter stages of its life and it evens out again at the top, right? Well, this is what happens when it evens out at the top. So what you're wanting to do is you're wanting that cow or that ruminant to eat it before it hits all this right here.
So the bottom half of the S.
You want it between. You really want more of that kind of the middle of the S up to the high point of the S. That's when the grass is the most nutritious. And so here's the other thing that happens. There's actually been a study that's shown that when a cow eats grass, there's a chemical that cow secretes into the grass that encourages the grass to grow back quicker. So you've had studies that have shown that, but what happens as well is we know that when you cut grass, it encourages to grow more quickly. So what happens when this grass reaches this right here, it's done growing. I mean, it's not going to keep growing for you. And so what that means is you're not continuing to develop a root system. So you want to mow that grass down regularly so it'll continue to grow up for you. So when the cows come through this, they're not mowing the entire thing down, right? So
they're picking and choosing.
They're picking and choosing. Now, if you did something called mob grazing, let's say you had 100 cows, you put them on 1 acre for a day or two, they'd probably mow the whole thing down. But for me, like it took me 42 days to start the cows at the top, moving through. I move them every single day, move them all the way around the pasture. I'll give them 500 to 700 square yards total per day, move all the way around the pasture, move them back up, and literally we're going to move them back up to their starting point. And so you're going to see what the grass looks like 42 days after they've already mowed over it. And so we're about to take a look at that in just a minute. So the deal is, though, when those cows go through that, I want them to mow the whole thing down, but they're not because I just don't have enough cattle. And so I'm going behind them, just kind of mowing it down to encourage that grass to continue to grow back, to get rid of this stuff right here. And so that continues, again, it's building the soil.
Could you go behind them with the sheep?
I could. Ideally, I would have the sheep in paddocks. What I run into is the sheep got to have some shelter. And so then I'm starting to talk about they need dragging a shelter behind them. And so, but I thought about that. The problem is with the sheep, though, the sheep won't even touch this stuff up here. They graze really low to the ground. And so the sheep are going to find this stuff down here. And they'll eat some, like this is fescue. I mean, they'll eat some fescue, but they're going to find more of your clover down there, your broadleaf.
That's what we're seeding with. We red clover, forage, seeding. Yeah. That's what we're doing. A lot of forage seeding, no fescue. Fescue in the front yard.
That's good.
But the rest is.
I'd love to have more, like you said, more of that, the foraging type in here. This is probably 80 to 85% fescue. And really, I'd love to have a lot more clover into this.
It's expensive.
It is. I've seen that. So let's go up here. We'll go up and take care of the cow.
Look that one, guys. It looks pretty.
Can we stay there?
I could never settle down too far away from my hometown with my family.